Greetings and salutations, listener. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by my party wizard, the boy.
Hey.
Party wizard makes you sound like you do really, really cool stuff with confetti.
I do, but you've just never seen me do it.
And this is, of course, the Tuners Podcast. Before we get started with everything, we want to remind you to please like, comment, favorite, subscribe, share the links, follow us on the Twitters, head over to Super Blizzard Bandcamp page, Shining Wasato song, Let's Get Hardcore. That's our music. Buy it. We already made him one sale. That's great. Let's make him two. Let's make that next week's goal. One more sale for Super Blizzard.
I like that goal.
Yeah, I do too. Last week, we tried to talk about 5th edition, and we succeeded in about 40%. Clearly, there's a lot of passion and heart about previous editions of Dungeons & Dragons, and we figured since September's kind of a dead month for us anyway, man, let's just keep fucking talking about Dungeons & Dragons.
Which is always a good plan. And hopefully we'll be doing more podcasts on 5th edition as we play it, as we get more books.
There's no hopefully, we will be.
Well, it might end up being really boring and not worth more than one podcast, but I hope.
Oh no! I think it'll be worth at least comparing and contrasting to what we've got here.
True.
And I mean, come on! I didn't even know what I did my wizard spells right. So.
Oh yeah, no, we might go back to that. But
anyway, before we get started proper, I want to give a special super double shout out that we finally have fan art as requested last week. That's prompt.
Yeah, and it's amazing fan art too. It caused much laughs in the Two Nerds household.
Yeah, I'll probably take a picture of it and upload it onto my Twitter. I'll put an annotation link, here-ish.
There you go. But anyway, I realized at the very least that so much of D&D, so much of the conversation about D&D is revolving around editions and the differences between them and all that any podcast that I was a part of that was 5th edition centric was going to keep going back to the previous editions, so it'd be better if we just got the rough outline of our opinions of the previous editions on audio now, so I don't have to keep repeating it.
Yeah, that's nice. And we talked about doing this before, but we weren't sure we'd have enough to say about it, and gosh, lo and behold, we
had more than enough. It started to leak into other podcasts, so we probably don't need any of this, but if you hear lots of flipping and flapping, it's because I have books from 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and now 5th edition D&D beside me. So, if we need bits of errata or data that we can't remember, hopefully we'll be able to find it. I only have the 2nd edition Dungeon Master's Guide, though. That's all I could find.
That's all we have on hard copy.
Oh, we got more on the computer, I suppose.
Yeah. But if you're here to listen to 5th edition stuff, to the new D&D, we're probably not going to say a whole lot about it.
I probably will, just because I just finished making my first character earlier today. Haven't played him yet, but it allowed me to get a lot more deep into the game, a lot more into the crunch of things, see how things work. I like a lot of it, but it'll probably be mostly to contrast with previous editions.
Right. So let's try it this way, and honestly, I think this is kind of a tough question, but what do you think is your favorite edition of D&D? 5th notwithstanding.
5th notwithstanding, because I haven't had a chance to touch it yet. 3rd. 3.5, as always. That's the Two rule. If we say 3rd, we mean 3.5. 3.5, hands down.
Yeah?
Yeah. Not even a competition.
Okay.
Just because there's so much about 2nd edition that, despite the fact that I cut my D&D teeth on 2nd edition, I don't like. I just don't like that much as compared to 3rd edition. Now, I recognize that marks me for death in several D&D circles, and that's okay, because different people are allowed to like different things. Okay. But there's a lot of stuff in here I really do love. It reminds me of, early childhood. I love the art.
Yeah, I love that they tried to replicate a lot of that style in 5th edition.
The very soft-focused sort of, but this saving throws and system shock and the demon that haunts all of 2nd edition, Thaco. Look, I know it's not actually that difficult. It's just subtraction rather than addition. But it's stupid.
It was unnecessarily overcomplicating something that could have been very simple. Now, if you hold a gun to my head and ask me, name your favorite edition of D&D or we'll kill you with this gun. I'd still probably hem and haw about it for a second. I really like what the 4th edition Essentials line did. But I've barely played it. I played one character, an awesome character.
I've also played one character from the Essentials line.
I really liked it. I think it fixed a lot of the problems with 4th edition, but just because it fixed a lot of the problems with 4th edition doesn't mean it's the best, you know? Mm-hmm. I certainly wouldn't call 4th edition my favorite. I like it better than 3rd edition, but gun to my head, I would probably say that I like 2nd edition best, but honestly, I appreciate each of them for their own, pros and cons.
What they brought to
what they brought to the table. I mean, and they all have their deficiencies, certainly.
Sorry, I'm just reading, weapon types and the old combo modifiers, THACO advancement, that sort of thing. I'm wandering back through memory lane. The 2nd edition, I should really close this book if I'm going to talk.
I also inherited Brandy's face explosion disease, so if you hear my face exploding, I apologize.
It's going to happen to all of us.
Yeah.
All our faces explode at some point. But, yeah, I mean, everything did bring a different feel to the table, a different kind of game. They all are better for different things.
And worse. I mean, 2nd edition, why is that the edition that I like so much? Probably A, because for so long my favorite class was Rogue, and that was probably the most fun Rogue I've ever played.
Oh yeah, with them percentile checks?
Those percentile skill checks were so good. You could be awesome at doing stuff, but at the same time, there wasn't this infinitely scaling ability. There was a cap on it. The cap was 90-something.
But, I mean, maybe it has something to do with 3.5 being my favorite edition in that I am the party wizard. It's my favorite class. It's my go-to class. It's coincidentally the first class I rolled for 5th edition. That is a pure coincidence. I rolled at random. But it's how I function in D&D, and 3.5 was very much Wizard Edition.
That's a funny thing, too, because I don't really play rogues anymore. I can't remember the last time I played an honest-to-goodness rogue.
It's been a while, honestly.
It's
been a while.
I'm thinking really hard here, and I can't remember.
Yeah, no, the last rogue you played...
No, it was Guillaume.
Yeah.
The one I rolled in Essentials.
The 4th edition Essentials.
And he wasn't a thief. He was a merchant. I used the rogue template because it worked. Because I needed a skill monkey, basically.
The last thief you played? I don't even know if that was in my presence.
No, I think it was before you and I were even friends. So we're talking over 8 years ago.
So, it's been a while. The last paladin I rolled.
That was not a paladin.
No, it wasn't. But
it's kind of funny that, I identified so strongly with 2nd edition, probably in part because I liked rogues, and that really let me be a rogue, and really have a lot of flexibility there.
A damn thief.
Yeah, a damn thief. And I had so much fun being a thief, and it really seemed like, with 2nd edition, the crunch, the number crunch, the saving throws, the THACO, all of your system shock and all that shit, your 18 percentile strength.
Oh, Jesus.
That was all really overcomplicated.
Yeah, that's the central problem with 2nd edition, I think.
It was unnecessarily overcomplicated, yeah.
Complicated is fine, and I get this is advanced, Mark, but there's no reason to put extra whittles and gadgets on a mechanic just to have extra whittles and gadgets.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we would, if we got a new weapon or we leveled up, we'd calculate our THACO and write it on the fucking sheet and go from there.
Just because it's way easier.
And, I mean, 3.5 even had that same sort of downfall, fucking attacks of opportunity. I don't know anybody who listened to the attack of opportunity rules, because if you did you want to talk about how long a 4th edition fight lasts?
Yeah, you know what? Pure by the book 3.5 lasts probably about as long as 4th edition. I wouldn't know, because attacks of opportunity got house ruled out so fucking fast, it made its head spin.
I think it's an awesome concept to be able to have an interrupt, but I think it's something that you should spec into, and not something that should be fucking available to every creature, character, and inanimate object that you walk past.
And the funny thing is, this is to contrast with the new edition. I haven't looked into it, especially because I'm a wizard and I don't really care all that much. But it seems like they made a class of action, a type, a move minor standard sort of type of action, reaction for attacks of opportunity. You do a lot of stuff with that, and you only get one a turn. If you're going to use an attack of opportunity, I imagine that's what you use it with.
Probably.
Which is good, because they also had a lot of attacks of opportunity in 4th edition. Opportunity attacks, whenever someone did a thing or moved the wrong way.
You could use your reaction
things down. It makes things more realistic, but it bogs combat down.
I'm in favor of streamlining things. That's me.
But this is a great point of contrast. That's streamlining things is the reason. The biggest reason I don't like 4th edition. Essentials ameliorates that a lot. But I don't like 4th edition because 4th edition is too streamlined.
I don't know about too streamlined necessarily, because if it was too streamlined, I think it would be like fucking fate dice. I think you'd be like, I rolled, how did I do this turn? Good! Yes, I know, that's not what fate's like.
It's samey then.
Yeah, it is uniform, I think. They tried to give a lot of flavor and spice to different classes. Like, Barbarian is the big one that stands out to me.
They did a lot of weird magic stuff.
Yeah, the Barbarian is like a totemic shaman guy. He's like Udyr.
Instead of being like, Conan.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad. It fit the very high concept 4-color, comic book fight that was 4th edition. But it just doesn't feel like a barbarian, and it needs the barbarian, and they did it as a conceit for the power system. Everyone gets your encounters, your dailies, your at-wills, and since everyone gets them, everyone needs powers.
Well, and how could you make a barbarian with really these different encounters, dailies, and at-wills when you already have a fighter? I mean, what are you going to do that's different? You've basically house ruled out the basic attack.
Yeah, it's everyone gets an at-will thing. Basic attacks are only really used in very specific scenarios. So the only thing you have left to do is strap something to the barbarian to make him sound different whilst being the same. His attacks do the same kinds of 2 weapon plus attribute.
Yeah, you were basically doing barbarian rages, but they were like animal totemy rages. And it was a lot of the stuff that you could do with feats in expanded 3.5. How you could modify your barbarian
fight
rage.
and magic.
No, there was the barbarian book.
I don't remember what that was called.
I doubt you did. It was like one of those things, tome of something, expanded crap for the barbarian.
Did love tome of something.
The barbarian, the butt, and the Jones. I fucking don't. Whatever.
But it's just, and everything was so samey with 4th edition. Like, all the spellcasting classes. Your spells either did some number of whatever weapon you were carrying plus an attribute, or some number of dice equivalent to a normal weapon plus an attribute. And that was the same across everything, and there was usually, with wizards, they usually had some sort of secondary controllery mechanic added on, like they got to stun, or move, or push, or pull, or have you, but they didn't do enough raw output of DPS, and the system had basically gutted the entire save versus whatever system from D&D spellcasting, that they didn't get to fight the boss. They existed to control large groups of people, and they were very good at that. but it shoved them into a niche to give room to other classes like the sorcerer and the whatever the fuck.
Well, and that was more than making the classes similar because they all have powers and the way those powers are set up. I think their problem was in making very strongly defined roles for each.
Trying to fit each class into a very strong
one of their predefined strong roles. I mean, that makes it less fun. Because it makes it less. It kills replay value.
Because once you've played a wizard, once you've played a 4th edition wizard, 1 to 30, you've played the wizard in 4th edition. There's no.
And you've played the sorcerer, and you've played the fighter, and you've played.
The mechanics are all going to be essentially the same. And, they can be slightly different. A defender feels very different from a leader, feels very different from a controller, and feels very different from, DPS. I forget what they called them. Striker. They all feel very different, but once you played one of each, you've played that class. There's really only 4 classes in 4th edition, with just different flavors.
Wasn't there a 5th one? Controller, defender, leader, striker.
I got nothing.
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
And again, like some of the expansions, helped this martial power and all that shit. You could make a wizard who was made to fight the boss. You could make a ranger who felt more like a fucking ranger and not just Legolas.
Just Legolas.
And not that there's anything wrong with wanting to play those characters, but it was so fucking uniform. It was like
so rigid. It prevented, and this is one of those things people keep saying, 4th edition was bad for role-playing, ROLEM, good for role-playing, ROLL. It was a minis game. This is part of the reason people say that, because you can't really inhibit actual role-playing. It exists largely outside of the dice. It's people talking to each other, crafting a good story, but when the mechanics of the game are set up such that it pigeonholes characters into these very specific combat roles that they have to do well, otherwise the very rigidly balanced encounters do not end well. As a DM of 4th edition who's fairly experienced, if somebody's not holding up their end of the fight, if the leader's not doing his thing, or the tank isn't doing his thing, or the mage isn't keeping stuff on lockdown, the ads, or if the striker isn't doing enough deeps, the fights don't go well. They go pear-shaped real fucking quick. Because the game is so rigidly balanced, and so inflexible in how it works, that it pigeonholes these characters into specific things.
Well, and even more so, even if all of these moving parts are working properly, they're just doing... Like, it eliminates a lot of choice. And I think 4th edition as a whole eliminates a lot of choice.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, because and that's the reason that they, you had to do this stuff well, because if you tried to do something else, if you tried to exercise choice and have your rogue go off and try and, avoid the battle or try and work around it, maybe activate some sort of environmental hazard to turn things in your guys' favor, your actual party was fucked, because there wasn't enough DPS getting put into the balls. But this is in part why it inhibited role-playing. You've got these classes that are so custom-tailored around their combat stuff. There's so much emphasis on the combat. And they are so role-specific that anything outside of combat, it's like, does my character know how to do that? I'm not fighting a guy. Is there anything I can do? What happens now? I hit the guy with my sword. He's a town guard. I don't know what else to do.
We're fucking career role players. We've been doing this since we were wee. And...
even we were having trouble.
Yeah. I mean, even the best time I had, and this was with Essentials, but, still Essentials gave me combat rules. I was playing fucking rogue. Even the best time I had being a character in a 4th edition based game, I was just talking to people. I was just talking to people in town. I didn't really roll many skill checks.
Nope.
There was some exploration. There was a couple logic puzzles, but I didn't really get to... I didn't really feel like I was using my character to do cool things in the character's world. I felt like I was doing cool things through my character.
It hurts immersion. It feels very gamey.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And despite the fact that these are role-playing games, them feeling gamey isn't a good thing. It hurts your ability to absorb yourself into the campaign. It hurts your ability to absorb yourself into the character's story. And I know this sounds pretentious as hell, but if you can't immerse yourself into the character that you're portraying, you have trouble enjoying the story you're trying to craft. You're going to
get a diminished return. I mean, it's you get back from role-playing what you invest in it. If you're the person who sits in the sidelines and is just happy to be around friends and is just, like, oh, I roll some dice, I do my cool thing. I did good, cool, alright, everyone's happy with me, nice. You're not going to come home and go like, man, fucking D&D, right?
You're going to go, no,
you're
it's
like,
fun.
I had a nice time with my pals. Same as a fucking game of Monopoly. Well, probably less blood, but...
I don't know, have you ever played Monopoly with
That's what I'm saying, Monopoly is more blood. But if you are, invested in your character and their own motivations, and you're sitting there, you're like, well, gosh, I don't want to do this because it would seriously fuck over the plot, but my character would never be brought to this point and react any differently. And you walk away going, oh man, the DM gave me so much stuff to think about, and that you're getting more out of it. You're leaving a session and you're still there, in part. And you're hungry for more. It's not just, hey, when's the next game night, guys? It's, dude, I need to kill the barbarian king. He killed my cousin. I just found out I had right in front of me. Fuck the barbarian king.
Please note this isn't reflective of anything I've DM'd. That's super trite. I
was just making some shit up.
I am trite, but different kinds of trite. Thank you.
I wasn't going to give away details for your campaigns, just because that's a different rabbit hole.
Oh God, yeah. But
this is something, for all of the failures I feel it has, that 3rd edition did well. There was a very good balance between what you did during number time and what you did when number time was not happening.
And I don't want this to become Let's Bitch About 4th Edition session podcast, because while it's my least favorite type of D&D, it's my least favorite edition, and that's not close, trust me. Other editions have problems. 3rd edition, my favorite edition, has a lot of fucking problems, yo. The skill system is, it's frankly ridiculous. I love it in a distant way. Like, in the same way you love anything that's kind of stupid and a little broken, but you had fun with it. It's not good. It's
not healthy.
No, it's... As a for instance, anytime I played a wizard in 3rd edition, just by adding the skill points that I could into the skill Arcana, we'll say, by 5th, maybe 6th level, there was really not going to be any normal Arcana check I had a snowball's chance in hell of failing, unless I rolled a 1 and you were doing crit success and crit failures and skill checks. Some people did, some people didn't. But by 8th or 10th, or God forbid, 12th level, I'm not going to fucking fail an Arcana check. It's not going to happen. If I roll anything but a 1, and even if I do, and you're not doing crit failures, I have too many pluses. Any rogue I ever played with, any actual rogue I ever played with in 3rd edition, by 15th level, dude, you're not going to fail a stealth check. You're just not.
And this is in part because unless you handcrafted every NPC, the default values they suggest, or the ones they actually hand you and provide you for what an NPC can and can't do, you are never going to fail a roll against them. A contested check, it's never going to happen.
They don't have good enough stats.
And they haven't been putting skill points into this shit for levels. It doesn't matter if they're fucking master artisan.
Yeah, or if they're, even if they have class levels, the skill points were so unbalanced in that game that you could have runs that's like level 20, 3rd edition time, we'll say level 15 fighter, who's the big BG of something you're doing, the main boss, and you're trying to get around him, and you're the rogue, so you roll a stealth check, you do middling, you roll, say, like an 8. That motherfucker could roll a 19 on his perception and not have a prayer of finding you.
And it was all the additive bonuses, really, because there was a cap on the skill points you could put in a skill. It was 3 plus your level. Unless you were multi-class. Well, let's
not get into that, please.
Multi-classing also sucked in 3rd edition.
Multi-classing sucked the big one in 3rd edition. Wasn't really good in 2nd edition either.
Yeah,
or 4th edition.
2nd edition was kind of it depended on what multi-class you were being, as to whether it was good or not.
It could be very useful.
Yeah. But it was also, it was tough. But anyway, you got not only your bonus from your skill points, which if you are any manner of wanting to be good in your skill,
you just max those out.
Yeah, you just max them out every level. Oh, good, I got another level. I'll put more skill points in. Plus your attribute bonus.
So, if you're doing your job as a rogue in 3rd edition, and you're stealing enough of them sweet, delicious money coins, you got magic items.
Yeah, it's at least a +4.
At least.
At 2nd level.
And that's at 2nd level, if by this 15th level scenario...
let's say 1st level. I don't know... Yes, I was lenient on die rolls when I was younger. That was kind of a way to herd the cats a little bit. Even now, I'm pretty lenient on die rolls. You get 3 sets of stats you can roll. Pick the one you like the most between them. Because people like to roll high and have big stats and do well. People don't necessarily like to suck. If you want to suck, that opportunity will be presented to you by the dice, I'm sure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have probably at least 118. Okay.
In that sort of
if not from hey, I rolled an 18, then from
hey, I rolled a 16. Let's pick a race that gives me a +2.
So you got +4 at least, level 1, okay, from your attribute. You got +4 from your skill, okay. Then you get a feat. And God forbid you're a human and you get 2, but you get a feat.
And you pick skill focus.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you pick skill focus if you are looking to be good at a skill? That's another +4?
I believe it's +2. I will check. You talk.
While you check. Let's assume it's low. Let's assume it's a +2, so that if he finds out it's higher, I can go, I rest my case. You have already got +10 in the skill. You roll a d20 to check your roll. The mean of that, I understand it's a random number generator, but you're probably going to roll approximately 10. Generally speaking.
On a d20? Yeah, that's the average.
It's the average.
Unless your dice is weighted, I suppose.
Well, yeah. So you are regularly, with regularity...
+3.
+3. You are achieving a 21 for that skill check at level 1. Let's even say you don't have the skill focus, okay? Let's say you didn't take it for whatever reason.
You had something more important to get first.
You're still rolling an 18 if you roll middling.
God forbid you roll well.
And the 35 DCs they would talk about was shit like breaking magic locks.
Or for tracking. I always try and remember this one. 35 DC for tracking is tracking a group of people who are trying to hide their tracks across rocky ground a month after the time.
It's like, as a DM, I'd be like, okay, this is going to be really tricky. I'm going to put something really interesting in my players. And they're like, hey, I rolled a 25. Do I do the thing I needed to do? Fuck, yeah, I guess. Jeez. What level are you? 4. There was no challenge in skill checks, and it only got worse. We're talking about level 1 here.
Which is just, and it only got exponentially worse with each thing. Because this is all discounting this is all discounting magic items in 3rd edition, and even if you're running with a DM who's in 3rd edition fairly stingy, if you can put together like any magic item to increase your base ability check for something, your shit gets hilarious fast. Because if you can make those 35s and by level 10 without even much speccing, you can. It's absurd. With a lot of speccing, you can meet the DC to crawl up a space that's smaller than your own head at level 5.
Well, and this is where we get into the real silliness of it. Look, 4th edition could get broken. 2nd edition could get broken. You could make characters who were fucking powerful.
They all pale, utterly and completely like the tiniest, most dim star in face of the sun, when measured against the unstoppable juggernaut of breakability that was the 3.5. Oh my god, there were so many ways to make a character absurdly, ridiculously powerful. In so many different ways.
And it's not even like, oh, what, do you have to use like a third-party book, that was with the open gaming license, and they have some weird-ass shit in there that Wizards of the Coast didn't check? No,
I can break a character with the PHB.
Yeah, you can break a fucking character with the PHB, but even using their own supplements, it is even easier.
It is said like every time you hear that splat at the table when someone brings a new character.
Perfect example. My wife decided she wanted to run the Tomb of Horrors. The Tomb of Horrors. We each got to roll a level 20 character.
No, not even 20. Level 12.
Was it level 12?
They were level 12.
They were level 12. I made a druid with the leadership feat.
I made a cleric, and anyone who's familiar with 3rd edition knows the term Codzilla, the absolutely unstoppable sort of thing you can do when given a cleric and, the willingness to do bad things. I did that. I broke this cleric.
And I made a druid with the leadership feat, so he had companions out the yin-yang. I believe I had 8 kobolds and a war troll.
And we did this with her full knowledge and acceptance. She was running a broken dungeon that was intended to destroy characters who were too powerful, and the players were being dicks. So we beat dicks and made characters that were too powerful because that's who that dungeon is designed for. How far in did we get before she threw up her hands and gave up?
Not too far past the Orb of Annihilation.
Yeah.
She was just like, fuck it, you guys are just going to steamroll past this by throwing kobolds at it. And then healing those kobolds.
Yeah, because you can't kill them. Trust me, you can't kill them. I'm not going to let you. And it's just...
I mean, it's fun for the player. It really enables them to, fucking live out that big dick, huge ovaries fantasy.
Is that really the
I don't know.
I would think, like...
Neat pussy?
Very well kempt?
Yeah.
We don't know what the equivalent to that is. Big lady dick.
It's not even enormous clit because they seem to be kind of
bad. They seem kind of unhappy about that.
It's like, oh no, I got a clit dick. Don't look at it.
Let's get off this subject.
I will say right now that no one I personally know or have known has a clit dick. Just to alleviate any thoughts that, who does he know that... No, I don't.
It's me. But...
That's why 4th edition was such a breath of fresh air. 4th edition was like, hey DMs, oh god, we're so sorry here.
We're so sorry. You had such a hard time with 3rd edition there. Just, here, have this. It's incredibly easy to DM, and your players won't have any fun. You'll love it. And as a DM, I do. DMing 4th edition is the easiest thing in the fucking world. It is... I can do it in my sleep. And DMing 3rd edition, never did that. Didn't want to. Saw what happened. Looked like the world's biggest pain in the ass.
Challenge rating is the fucking... Look, Challenge rating is the THACO of 3rd edition.
I never had
And
to
it's way worse, because there's, like, long division involved.
Oh, God. Well, this character's it's effective level 9, and this one's effective level 8, and this monster is a challenge level of 12?
Okay, here's the thing, though.
Is that how that works?
First of all, and you know what? Look it up. I'm going to start talking, but you look it up and you see how much I remember this stupid fucking shit.
I have the DMG right here, so...
I believe what a challenge rating is that a party of 4 characters of this level should be able to take on one monster of this level. That's why they had challenge ratings of a quarter, because 4 of these would be a fair challenge for a party of first level characters. However, this is null and void if it so happens that your group is a little more powerful than they should be, or a little less powerful than they should be. Well, how do you find out if your group is more powerful than they should be or less powerful than they should be? I'm glad you asked, Timmy. Basically trial and error. I need to mention here that error is a total party kill. That's TPK. I'm sure we're going to reference it again for you noobs out there in the crowd. I had 2 people. Now this is the example. This is the worst, which is why I bring it up. I was running a game for 2 of my friends, all right? One of them was playing a paladin on a horse. The other one was playing a priest. I don't remember a cleric. I don't remember if they were mounted or not, but whatever. They had armor. They had weapons. They had spells prayed for. Okay? Both first level. This was the last campaign of 3rd edition. I started off at first level. They ran into a small pack of wolves.
A small pack of wolves. I've heard this story. I wasn't a part of this.
I'm going to be super generous. I'm going to be super critical of myself. Err on the side of ridiculousness and say that there were 6 of them. I don't think there were.
6 or less.
The party was dead. Dead. Just fucking dead. And do you know why? Because they didn't roll that great.
So, here's what the rules actually state. Challenge ratings and encounter levels. A monster's challenge rating, CR, tells you the level of the party for which that monster is a good challenge. A monster of CR 5 is an appropriate challenge for a group of 4 5th level characters. 4 5th level characters, excuse me. If the characters are of higher level than the monster, they get fewer XP because the monster should be easier to defeat. Likewise, if the characters are of a lower level than the monster's challenge rating, the PCs get a greater reward.
It goes on from there. I'm sure it brings up the quantum, but this system only works if under, absolute circumstances.
This is an audio medium, listener. You can't see me turn this chart around. There is a long division chart next to this.
Here's the funny thing. That challenge rating is set for a party of 4 at that level. First of all, you have to take into consideration, what if I have more or less people? That math isn't too hard. That's just math. Okay? But, do these characters have magic items? How strong are these magic items in relation to how strong the characters are?
How strong are these magic items in relation to how strong their magic items should be at this level?
Is there even a set point as to how many magical items a character should have at this level?
Because, in 3rd edition, no, there really isn't.
It was kind of a free-for-all.
In 4th edition, yes, they showed you the math.
And how well or poorly does this group roll?
Because if it's poorly, you better knock off some CR, otherwise you're gonna murder your party.
But here's the thing, they're fucking dice. I don't know that in advance. So, my encounters throughout my entire time DMing 3rd edition went one of 3 ways. Way number 1. I give my party what I feel is a fair challenge. My party is utterly destroyed. And I have to either DM fiat or cry about the fact that they're all dead. Number 2, I give my party what I think is a fair challenge, or even a strong challenge, like a boss fight. My party utterly wipes the floor with this hybrid dragon Tarask.
Without breaking a sweat, or even really fully paying attention to what's going on.
That was a joke. They never fought a Tarask. But it's similar things. Like, they would give me new monster manuals because we were hardcore into the dice role-playing there for a while. They would buy me new monster manuals just to be like, throw this thing at us! I want to kill it!
And they would.
Yeah? Oh, God, yeah.
This was before me, but there were times, even when he was playing with me in 3rd edition, I played a wizard. Alright. This is actually a funny story. Through a series of events in the plot, I was playing one wizard character, and I had been given control of another wizard character, and had an opportunity to make this wizard spell list from the ground up, because it was a character I'd played in a previous campaign who was getting brought back for a boss fight sort of cameo.
And closure. It was one of those 3rd edition campaigns I started and we never finished.
So, he made the mistake of telling me I was going to be fighting a lich. I was playing a level 16 wizard. That battle lasted 2 turns.
Yeah.
This was an incredibly twinked out, incredibly ridiculous lich, who was a badass, and he had, all this power. It was supposed to be a huge boss fight for this wizard character and, another character to fight. And, 2 turns. 2 turns. And I knew it was going to last 2 turns. I went in with my spell list front-loaded. Those 2 spells, and then 6 other spells that would have done the exact same thing. If he had gotten through all of those, I might have been in a little trouble. A little.
Yeah. Okay, and that's peeling back for a second. That's assuming that the person you're playing with doesn't have a wizard. who after a certain level, can just do this kind of shit.
Provided they're not dumb. Wizards after level 7?
Even me, I'm not wizard guy. I was playing a fucking blood mage, and I got that spell that lets you appear and talk through mirrors. So we set up a trap for an evil knight guy, who was like an anti-magic knight, and I filled a room with mirrors. I did the Mysterio Funhouse thing from Spider-Man, and Fishbowl Head won.
Because unless you're dealing with someone who has plot armor, Fishbowl Head wins. It's Wizards. 3rd edition was Wizard edition. All right. You could break a druid. You can give him tons of wild shape. Give him a ridiculous animal form. Make him be a damage monster. You can break a druid into a ridiculous spellcast.
All you have to do is give a wizard or a druid synthesized drug. That's when anybody who's got a basic knowledge of chemistry is infusing their enemies with methamphetamine out of nothing. This happened in game. And I went, shit, that science is, well, fuck.
Here's some old school biker math straight up your veins, bro.
And it's cool, and it's fun, but it's like hell to DM. Like, a 3rd edition DM was that kind of, that Japanese writer you always see with his head, like, in his hands, and his hair all roughed, and a pencil in one hand, and utter despair on his face.
Because he's just trying to craft a good story.
There was a 3rd option to how my fights went.
How's the 3rd option?
The 3rd option is I would put a fight in place. Invariably, this had to be a boss fight because of how it went. I would put a fight in place, and then I would proceed to cheat. Until I had decided they'd had enough.
Yeah,
and then they would get the victory.
He went from let the dice fall where they may. I shall be a fair DM to
which I'd much rather be
to the dice only. The DM only rolls dice because he likes the sounds they make.
I had to
just to. Oh yeah, what was your rule? If the battle hasn't gone on long enough, I'm just going to keep adding hit points to this boss until it has.
It got to the point to where we would get into encounters, and I'm not even shitting you. The highest level in this campaign I'm talking about that they ever reached was 13. And that's not even the whole party. And I would be sending monsters at them with hundreds of hit points. When we got to double digits, it was a celebration.
We're in double digits. Hooray! Oh.
Because of the amount of damage. I was not using attack of opportunity rules. Now, perhaps this is a failing on my part, because maybe a lot of monsters could have been like, shut up, don't cast spells. But, that makes it harder for the party. Like, there's no balance there. It's either the monster wins or the party wins, and you know this from the outset, unless you cheat.
4th edition didn't have that problem. It did have the problem of billions and billions and billions of hit points. When, hey, we're in double digits, hooray, was a legitimate thing that was designed in the game.
Well, and it also had the problem, that my RPG can have, where if you can throw out a bunch of minions, and be like, yeah, they'll probably clear them off. This will be just a minor challenge. Oh god, they didn't clear them off. Oh god, they're all dead. Oh god, they're all dead.
Because minions, if you miss a minion, they don't take half damage if they normally would, or if there's something that gives damage even if you miss, you don't get that, so you gotta hit them. So they have decent ACs. They only have the 1 hit point, but they do fixed damage. They don't roll.
Yeah,
so it's just 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage. You hit them yet? 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage. Keep rolling bad, 5 damage, 5 damage.
Your whole party is dead, thanks to 4 determined kobolds.
4 lucky, determined kobolds.
Now, to be fair, we never had that. We had a really close fight in that Dragon Age campaign you ran, where I was playing my dwarf thief.
He was a Dragon Age dwarf. They were heading to clear out a section of the Deep Roads. That was literally the entire campaign. It was just combat.
Oh, it was so much fun, too. And exploration.
It was 1st edition, explore the dungeon, find the bosses, kill the thing, get the magic item, go to town, sell those, get more battle gear, go back into the dungeon, clear more dungeon. It was absolute point and shoot 1st edition D&D style play.
It was the version before Dungeons and Dragons became advanced.
And
where the town was just a construct in order to do commerce so that you could return to the dungeons.
And I was running this because that's what was asked of me.
I can't tell you the last time I've been in a fucking dungeon. It was nice. I got to unlock things, and we did stuff, and we found ancient evil, and we fought ancient evil, and we ran screaming from ancient evil.
They did run screaming from ancient evil. Because when you asked me to be a DM who's doing old school dungeons, I do old school dungeons. I do meme traps. I do douchebaggy encounters. I do not give the party a break.
And
because that's what you're supposed to do.
Because it's a challenge. You only get into the kind of shit that you get yourself into. You know, it's kind of like Call of Cthulhu, except without the inevitable. You have to be fucking... Why are you touching that? Don't touch that.
You see this glowing, obviously evil glowing thing? It's glowing with literally something I describe as malevolent energy. Okay, party wizard, you probably shouldn't try and grab it. But oh, that wily party wizard, he wanted that magic item.
Yeah, my dwarf, ever driven by lyrium.
Delicious, delicious lyrium.
There's gold in them there deep roads. It's blue.
But, and...
also cocaine.
But
magic cocaine.
In contrast to these previous editions, and as a hopeful note for the future, 5th edition seems to be sort of a melting pot of all the previous editions. It has, like, some really odd holdovers from 2nd edition. There's some System Shock stuff in there. It's not called that, but that's what it is.
Yeah, it's got some odd holdovers from 3rd edition. They brought back challenge rating. I don't know if it's the exact same, but that's what they're calling it.
Looks pretty similar, to be honest.
I don't know why you would do that. Oh, I remember why. Pathfinder's the greatest thing ever invented by anyone ever. And it has challenge rating, so do that.
Why is Nicolas Cage talking to me about D&D? It looks pretty similar. I don't know. I haven't gone through that section of the book, and there's not a lot of monsters in the PHB, so running a campaign...
there's like 5.
They're all like wolves and shit, so they don't expect you to get too far before they come out with the DM.
At least it's not a fucking cat.
Yeah, sure. God, let's not fucking talk about cats. but it has some weird holdovers from 4th edition, some weird holdovers from 3rd edition. It's mostly 3rd edition.
It is, I think I said this last time, 5th edition is the Essentials line for 3.5.
With adding some 2nd and 4th edition where necessary, I think it shows a remarkable sense of balance and a remarkable sense of history. I don't know how well it plays, because I haven't played it, obviously, but it seems to not be too terrible. And I certainly love what it's done with the wizard. I need more time to go over the spell list before I can really tell you whether or not the wizard is broken, because in the end, if the spell list is good enough, the wizard is broken. But I don't know yet.
And let's go back to that a little bit. I said I haven't played rogues in forever, even though they were my favorite starting D&D class. Not the first one I rolled, but 3rd edition wizard is what broke it.
Yeah, because 3rd edition wizard... People say 3rd edition wizard invalidated classes. It didn't. It gave them the ability to replace a class if they were willing to be, instead of a wizard, a replacement rogue. A wizard could be a replacement rogue, but then he didn't get to be a wizard anymore. That was the cost.
Like a full replacement rogue, you are correct. But there was also the problem that maybe I was just playing with a bunch of dicks, I don't know.
I can prepare knock 28 times today, but then I'm not going to have any other spells. Why don't we just get a rogue who can unlock the thing with tools?
Yeah, I might have just been playing with assholes, because it was a lot of, whatever, it's kicking the door. Rogue, what are you doing? If it's a trap, I'll take the trap. Who cares? I have fucking hit points. Yeah, the wizard was like, cool, let's knock her down. Knock.
That's just you're playing with people who... you had nothing to do with your players. You're playing with the DM who was too nice.
Too nice to what? Oh, didn't punish him for it. Yeah, my DMs at that point were really super nice guys. I was never a Monty Hall DM. I probably gave my players more money than they needed to and more special abilities. But that's because we had this bond, and I was like, look, you want to do something cool? I'm here to facilitate that. I'm still going to try to give you a challenge, but you get to do cool stuff while I'm challenging you.
I can be a little Monty, but that's just because I tend to give my players remuneration equal to the amount of work they put in, and remuneration in equal measure to the amount of remuneration they would get in an actual scenario such. If they save an entire town from a dragon, they're going to get a little bit more than 100 gold, because the town kind of owes them their very lives now. They're going to get the town's loyalty, which is much more valuable.
Right. It reminds me of some stuff in Skyrim, where, like, early levels, it's like, hey, did you want to go do this thing for me? I need you to brave, like, a scary fucking dungeon and fight a hard boss and run out of potions, and you don't have much money anyway because you're just starting off. Okay, you did that thing for me? Super great, thank you. Here's 100 gold. That will buy you exactly cockall.
Whereas later
on... And then, in later expansions, it's like, hey, could you go see my friend and tell him his face is a butt? Okay. Sweet, here's $1,000. What? Thank you.
Because by this point in your Skyrim career, you're so... and you're probably so ridiculously rich that the zeros mean nothing to you. But... it's... I can be a little Monty, but... I punish stupid play.
Yeah.
That's the one part of a DM, that's the one kind of DM I am that's an asshole. If you play like an idiot, you're gonna get punished for it, because the universe punishes people who do dangerous things stupidly.
That's very true. And I think it's also part and parcel of the system we play in usually. But the DMs I had at the time were either very free-form, or one person I'm thinking of in particular, and if you're listening, you know who you are, super fucking Monty Hall, resurrect-o-matics on every street corner, like, unto a god, powerful DM NPC, hanging around, ready to save our asses if need be. It was fun. Whatever, fuck it. I did cool things like kill a giant from the inside, and turn a peaceful elvish town into a necropolis. Accidentally.
My Montiest Hallest DM wasn't even a Monty Hall DM. he just let me craft my own spells. And this was in the middle of my wizard phase.
I crafted exactly one spell. Go ahead and tell Ultimo Dragon what you did when you were allowed to craft spells.
Alright. This is a part of my history as a role player that I desperately miss. We were playing war campaigns. The campaign specifically was about an ongoing war between the Drow, dickhead Drow, and, the rest of the fucking people. And, look, very long story, quests, mini quests to get material components that were rare and, one of a kind, blah, 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 blah. Aside, I blew up Minzu Baranzan. I rendered it into ash. Because he let me craft my own spells. Don't do that.
Like, how many spells did he let you craft? How many, what did you get, a lot of them?
All in told, I had a few spells to help ramp up the damage of the one big, 8th or 9th level spell that was gonna do the thing.
Oh, so it was like a locate city nuke before locate city nukes were a thing.
Yeah, with spells I essentially...
You made the locate city nuke before the game made it for you.
Yes. There's a scrying spell, and a couple spells to amp up the damage, and then this... It was actually like a 5th or 6th level spell. If I had 9th level spell slots, I would have just gated in some Baylors. But, and then a one big damage spell that because of all the other spells I'd crafted, I was in my office, my wizard office, in a little pool of water in a bowl. Scry, there it is. Press the button, boom. I am become Death Destroyer of Drow. Now that sounds really broken, and it was. But let's check in with White Raven. What did you do? Were you allowed to craft your own spells?
I made one spell.
What was that spell?
It let me turn water to blood, following a metric that was outlined somewhere in the player's handbook spells for turning something else into something else.
Probably
in terms of cubic feet.
Probably stone to mud, or
like
flesh to stone, or something like that.
When I first tried this spell, I rolled so well on my crafting check that, again, this is the Monty Hall DM. I turned all of the water in a 5-mile radius into blood. What followed, and I'm going to keep this super quick, it's a great story, but, we're low on time, so what followed was basically my DM detailing a series of ghastly events as people around town turned on their showers, because we do more steampunk-ish. Not hardcore, everybody is a cog golem, but we have bathrooms.
Yeah, we have bathrooms, no one is using privies, the roads are not filled with shit. Yeah.
So, everybody around town turning on their showers, going to get a drink, whatever, and suddenly it's all blood. Each one more horrifying than the last. Then it started raining. So I cast it again, because I had more spell slots. And
he was a sorcerer.
Then this was a wizard. This was Seville.
Oh, no. He was a wizard? He always acted like a sorcerer.
No, he was
I don't expect wizards to be douchebags, I guess.
Seville was fucking awesome. I was playing two characters, both gnomes. Seville and Deacon. I made Seville with the express intention of trying out the Blood Mage from the Mage expansion book from 3rd edition. I don't remember if they ever made it again in 3.5, but I really liked the class. And the other guy, Deacon, was a fighter who used a full blade. And I took all the requisite feats so he could wield as a gnome. It was pretty awesome. But, Seville, he was fucking chaotic awful. So, all this stuff, I caused all this havoc, went to the local church, pretended to have stigmata, gave the priest a heart attack in front of, children. This was not an evil campaign, mind you. This was, the turning point for my character. Suddenly, here comes Ralister, God of Razors, and is like, I like what you're doing here with this blood thing. Here's some bonuses. So, long story short, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. We turned the water plane in that universe into the plane of blood. There Seville sits forevermore, the god of blood. Crafted on one spell. And the experience he got from killing all the monsters in the water plane by turning their fresh drinkable water into blood.
This is the reason we have upper limits on spells, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. All of them are fun. You know, all of the editions have their strengths. I always had fun combat in 4th edition. I always had fun fucking around in 3rd edition. And in 2nd edition, I can't think of an edition that has more well-encompassed adventure.
And I have a similar story. I have a similar sort of experience. In 4th edition, I had fun DMing. I had a lot of fun DMing 4th edition. In 3rd edition, I had a lot of fun telling stories in 3rd edition. It was crafted very well for that. In 2nd edition, I had a lot of fun beating my DM. My 2nd edition DM was an asshole. And if you're listening, you know who you are. And so I had a lot of fun outwitting him. I think it's a big reason why I play Wizards. But every edition of D&D has fond memories for me. None of them are bad. I have least favorites, I have most favorites. But I can't think of an edition of D&D that was genuinely bad.
You know, every role-playing game, really. I mean...
No, that's not true. There are some that are bad.
Most role-playing games.
Most role-playing games at least come from a good place, but they can be poorly designed.
Sure. But, you know, if you play it, if you give it a try, 9 times out of 10, you're going to find yourself having some fun.
Yeah, like 9 times out of 10, even if it's a poorly designed game, you end up house ruling enough just by play that you can fix enough to have some fun with it. Role-playing game systems are something people are very passionate about. And they're something that causes a lot of friction and tension in role-playing communities. Do you like this edition? Do you like that edition? Which one are you more in favor of? Well, if you like this edition, obviously you're a less than a human being, and you have no manner of honor or tradition, blah, 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 blah. And I don't think that's really the right way to go about looking at it. Any role-playing game, even the poorly designed ones, can be very fun. It's obviously better to go with a better designed game, because then you don't have to do as much work to get to the fun, but in the end, I mean, we're all sort of rolling these dice because we like the sound they make. They're frameworks. They exist to help tell the story, to help fund the gameplay. They don't really matter in the end.
Elitism and cynicism are very, very, very rarely helpful. Especially...
They are rarely helpful, but on average, you're better off just not bothering.
Especially in a setting where you and either current or potential friends are going to gather around a table and play pretend with rules.
Because you making a big stink about the rules doesn't help anyone actually have any fun.
And that's what we're here for. We're here to tell a good story, and we're here to have fun doing it. Man, it might be a tragedy, it might be a comedy, we might win, we might lose, but we're here to tell the story.
Or we're here to have a fun challenge, to exercise our lateral thinking capabilities and try and overcome honestly unfair odds. That's the goal sometimes.
Or if you're playing something by White Wolf, you are just here to sit around a table talking to your friends.
In character. And this is all perfectly fine. But if you're the person at the table and I've been this guy, so I'm speaking from a place of experience. If you're the person at the table who wants to nitpick and really make a big issue about why this rule is stupid, or that rule is bad, or this, or that, or the other thing, by all means bring it up. By all means point out that you think this could be done better, maybe we should house rule this, I don't like this. But then, if the rest of the group doesn't care, or isn't down, or doesn't want to change it, okay, I've never heard this song, go look it up on YouTube, let it the fuck go. Don't be the rules lawyer. Don't be that guy who's more concerned about the rules of the game than playing the fucking game. that doesn't make things better.
I don't disagree. I mean, go to any forum, go to 4chan. Don't go to 4chan.
Never go to 4chan. Go to like another role-playing game forum.
And find a thread about somebody bitching. I guarantee you they're going to be bitching about one of 3 kinds of people. The third one's my favorite. Number 1, rules lawyers. Number 2, chaotic stupid. Number 3, actual terrifying freaky people.
Commonly known as that guy in parlance.
Yeah.
It's the people who insert things like their weird sex fantasies into the game.
Oh, God, that's an entire different podcast. Please don't get me started. We're already running long.
Or the people who insist on using their homemade class. It's stuff that is obvious social faux pas in the role-playing game community. Obvious in that you will be told directly that this is a faux pas when you start doing it, and yet these people continue.
They're enabled by, waffly DMs or
And poor...
DMs they're engaging in coitus with.
Ah, yeah. That's a whole different can of
Or
worms.
people who just don't want to say anything and are trying to be nice.
Or people who just realize that there's like 4 people in this entire fucking area code that play D&D, and if we kick this guy out, we're down to 3.
I've had a lot of good adventures with a DM and 2 players. I've had some great ones with 1 DM and 1 player.
I have spent most of my role-playing game career at this point, the vast majority, on balance at this point, with 2 players, 1 DM.
And it works. It's much different than the full party dynamic. There's some stuff you can't do. You want to play the sneaky, backstabbing rogue that nobody can trust, you cannot do that in a small party. Especially just 2 people. Because you get kicked out. And then the game is over.
I'm not talking because I'm pretty /bitter about
it. Yeah, there's a lot of other concepts you can't really do. You can't be super mysterious. You can't be super reticent,
Because we've only got 2 people here, and you gotta...
Both you motherfuckers gotta talk. But help. I mean, that's what it's all about. Help to make a story, game, challenge, conversation, whatever. Help to make your RPG experience better.
Like everything is better when nerds talk about it.
Fuck it, let's get hardcore!